So if you did any travel over the holidays just now, you might have asked yourself, why is this flight, this car rental, this resort, and their fees so terrible? Or maybe you had a great trip and you loved every minute of it. I sure hope so. And if that's the case, kudos. My guest today wants you to have more delightful experiences when you travel. Rafat Ali is a blogging pioneer, a media entrepreneur, and the founder and CEO of Skift, which bills itself as the daily homepage for the global travel industry. I invited him on Crafted to learn more about how AI is affecting the future of travel, and I started by asking him whether AI is likely to have a democratizing effect that might unseat some of the big players, or whether it's more likely to lead to greater centralization.
Like different intermediaries will emerge. I think one of the things that I've seen is that it's all about business cycles, bundling and unbundling. And so early indications are people with the most amount of money will win. I hope that doesn't happen.
Right.
I do see an opening in the in online travel booking. It's Booking Holdings, which is booking.com, and a few other sites that they have. Expedia, Airbnb, trip.com out of China. So those are the big four in terms of volume. And so there's some local players that are big in different countries. And for the last 20, 25 years, it's been hard to break through that. Many startups have come in booking that you and I had used in the past. Hipmunk, if you remember, very well loved.
I loved Hipmunk.
It
had a vibe to it. It had the default sort was by Agony, which I just loved.
Hipmunk was really good. A bunch of others that came along and tried. But it seems like there is an opening, in a world where agents go and fetch and do things for us. One interesting thing, where would the agents be resident? Would they be through ChatGPT type interfaces, Claude, whatever AI service you use? Or would it be resident on your phone, like these LLMs that are native to your iPhone? For instance, Apple launches a service that is your LLM that will do things on your behalf. And then my phone becomes my agent to do everything. It's unclear today. So far, obviously, ChatGPT type folks are winning. And so there is an opening of new intermediaries, even though these intermediaries happen to be now very large.
Yeah.
Would just a pure travel startup raising 10, 15, 20 million, which again is very small these days, win against these other players? It's hard, very hard. Like if you ask me, and people have asked me all just over the last 3 years, have you seen any great travel AI startup? Pure, I'm talking consumer. And I've thought about it quite a bit, and honestly, not a single one. I would say is interesting. On the B2B side in travel, obviously tons of use cases in terms of operations all across airlines and airports and hotels, and you can imagine how complex these are, and AI will take out automation in this case, in the real sense of the word automation, is already doing it and will continue to do it. So that's where tons of exciting stuff is happening. If the agentic booking becomes real in travel, which it seems like it is on the way to.
Why is that such a dream?
Because it's such a sexy thing to show. So every demo since ChatGPT launched has had a travel use case as probably one of the first examples. I want to go here, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's just because it's such a low-hanging fruit for people to demonstrate. I mean, trip planning, as in where do I need to go, what to do, seems very not even 101, pre-101 at this point. And many times it's great. Most of the times it's not. As you know, just like trip planning itself, asking AI tools. Also depends on how you ask. So like I won't generalize like they suck. It will only be as good as what you ask them. It's like, give me 5 things to do in New York. It's going to give you the 5 crappy things to do. Like, that's not a question. You have to have a more directed sense of what you want, or ask about offbeat, or just you have to put an effort. For me, the most interesting travel app in the world, the most used travel app in the world, that's not categorized as a travel app, is Google Maps. Like we run our lives on Google Maps. It's probably the second or third most used search engine, if you will, because we search a lot in the Google Maps.
If I'm searching for a business, I go straight to Maps just to find their phone number or whatever.
Exactly.
It's quicker, it's easier.
100%.
You and I recently connected because you wrote a post that went viral. Effectively, you said, America has lost the plot. You wrote, we've priced ourselves out of our own welcome mat. What once felt like a promise of the world is now a gauntlet, a trip
Yeah.
measured not in miles,
Yeah.
but in fees, surcharges, and the steady erosion of goodwill.
Yeah. So it was I went to Vegas, which I hate with a passion,
Likewise.
but I hate it even more now because post COVID has become such an extraction machine. I mean, the resort fees is the stuff that it goes viral every few weeks
Right.
on any social media stuff, and how ridiculous the resort fee is for hotels there, or the resorts there, or the casinos there. But then everything is so not only so expensive, everything they charge for. And that's a symptomatic of stuff that's happened all around. I mean, you and I live in New York. I live in Astoria and Queens. There's $7 coffees and people are paying for it. Astoria, not Manhattan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Astoria.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's the general quality of living that has declined in American cities, particularly. And I can only criticize my country. And so that is reflected in how travel has become, where every part is what they call upsell in the industry is basically extraction for the consumer. What they say in earnings call is like, oh, luxury is resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Or luxury is holding up. That's a very business terminology. What that hides is tons of people who are getting priced out. We're getting priced out of our cities in terms of living, but also as middle class, which was all along the section of the society that brought travel boom, particularly road travel in US with the cars coming in, 100 years ago, whatever it was, 80 years ago, 90 years
Yeah.
ago, is the ones that are exactly getting priced out. There was a New York Times story that I also referenced in my article that you read, which was a Disney.
Yeah.
It was a very good article
It
from
was
New York Times
excellent.
about
Yeah.
how unaffordable Disney has become for the average middle class whose whole point in life was going to Disney, and now it's become so expensive. So we've made travel unaffordable for a large part of the American society. And so, what is our role as an industry? As in the industry we cover, we're media, but the travel industry. What is travel industry's role in making travel affordable? Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, co-founder, has been talking about affordability. He was obviously talking his own book, as in like Airbnb is affordable. That's why people happens to be true, by the way. But I didn't understand it. I did think he was talking his book, which he is, but then it has renewed meaning now. He's been talking forever about affordability in travel and how Airbnb makes the hosts meet their costs and more, etc. And so if it's bad for the locals, it's bad for travelers. 100%. That's the thumb of rule in travel.
Yeah.
Should be.
What seems to have happened here, the extractive nature is similar to what's happened to a lot of platforms online. The term
Correct.
inshitification, right, applies, I think,
Yeah,
in both
which from
cases.
online, yeah.
How does this change, I guess, in either context, whether, the online extraction or the
Yeah.
resort fees and the et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at some point consumers will vote with their feet or wallet or whatever the term is these days, Apple Pay, and say enough is enough. And if the consumer spend goes down, which there's some early signs that US is in recession or whatever, and I think the brands that have some sense of transparency in how they present things. There's also it's not just that we're extracting, it's also that we're trying to hide it.
Right.
And some laws in US have come up. Europe is obviously much better in terms of consumer protection on this stuff. Like car rental experience, one of the worst experiences in travel, continues to be the actual physical
Right.
act
Yep.
of going and renting a car versus Uber. Back in 2013, I coined the term hate selling, inadvertently coined the term hate selling after how bad the experience was in terms of like them hiding fees and trying to upsell me to stuff and making me feel bad. Like if you make us feel bad while buying, maybe we'll pay up for other stuff. So how does it get changed? This is where potentially AI will take out all this stuff out of the equation and get to the right answer on our behalf. One of the things I've been saying is from being operators, as in we're looking at 5 different sites, turning the dial here a little bit, turning the dial, trying to do, we become directors. As in we say, here, do this.
Your AI agent go do this
Your,
thing,
yes.
and the dark patterns or the guilt or whatever you're talking about, They're machines. They don't care. They'll figure it
They
out.
don't care, and they'll figure it out and come back and tell me exactly what's going on. And so then it becomes a lot more transparent. So it'd be interesting to see if agents are able to parse through that and us becoming more in control over what we can or cannot do.
You've said that your job at Skift is to say things that others in the industry can't say. What is a truth about travel that you think a lot of people tiptoe around?
I've said many different things about our role in the industry, sort of is to poke the industry, not constantly, but at different times, and just watch the reaction of the industry. And by that reaction, you can learn a lot about where the stories lie, what the insecurities are. In terms of misconceptions, everything is designed, there's no deals left in travel. Like, oh, if I'm booked on this date, I will, or this evening, or that I will get a better pricing. The amount of time spent on trying to get a deal is the time you could spend with your kid or family or work or be outside or whatever. There's no deal to be had in the travel industry. At this point, it's all been all the price algorithms and now even AI coming in will make it very hard for you to do that. So certainly that's a big misconception. Airline customer service. Airlines are just a commodity business, particularly in the economy space.
I mean, I've heard others say they're effectively a credit card business. They just happen to fly planes.
Yes, yeah. So there's that point is that don't complain about airline service because there's not meant to have service. And then I think people don't realize how complex the hotel industry is. Is like Marriott doesn't own any of the hotels. Hilton doesn't own any of the hotels. Like a general consumer would not know that. It's a very complex industry. A lot of times it's not open to outsiders, which is ironic because travel is supposed to be the point about meeting people that are not like you.
Yeah. As you look ahead to the future of travel, what are some things that you hope to see that will be delightful?
Yeah. The good news about travel is like as much as the tools and the processes would be taken over by AI, the actual act of travel will remain. If anything, they get more enhanced. Our need for it gets more enhanced. As you saw after COVID, people really said, after being locked in our house for a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on which part of the world you were, you really wanted to go out in the world. Outdoors became more important.
Yep.
I think that a version of that will continue even more so. I hope, like for instance, boutique hospitality or indie hospitality, a lot of them are being bought by larger chains. I think independent hotels and people gravitating towards it says something. People wanting to stay in Airbnb or like at least unique accommodations does say something. So I think those types of travels, a lot of effort is going into making the different parts of travel more connected. Airline talks to the hotel, talks to the transport, talks to experiences, like it's all should be connected together. The thing that has blown my mind forever is that the airline doesn't know the second you step out of the plane where you're going, where you're staying, nothing. Those things should be in an age of data where there's so many data, ways to collect data and phone is the center of your life, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things should be connected and should, in theory, make your travel a lot more easier.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of effort going in from a technology perspective. I just hope that, again, in the age of upsell and price gouging, etc., it doesn't become
a dystopian version of what you just talked about, where it's extractive, and we know where you're going, and maybe we'll tweak the prices before you get there to make them a little higher. Last question for you. You include in your LinkedIn headline that you're a perpetually exhausted dad of 3 hyperactive kids. I could put that in my headline as well. I also have 3 kids.
Wow. You look young.
Yeah, thank you. How you doing? How do you get rest? And specifically on travel, do you have any dad hacks on traveling successfully with kids?
With kids?
Yeah.
No, there's no dad hacks. It's just sleeping pills for the kids. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, iPads honestly are the best thing. The only time we bring out our iPads, by the way, for the kids. So I have a 10-year-old, I have a 6-year-old, and a 5. The first 2 are boys, and the third is a girl. So much easier to handle the girl. Oh my goodness.
I have 3 boys. So.
3 boys. Oh my
I have 3.
God.
Yeah.
And so we just went to India, and I took a direct flight, and it was actually much better. I was worried about direct flight versus stopping, because direct was 16 hours versus 12 hours to Dubai type area, and then from there another 4 hours. The direct, like once you're done, you're done. Honestly, the other hack, so we do pay for business class for these long hauls once a year. Like I save my points from those credit cards
Yeah.
to when we first started doing this India trip a few years ago with kids and stuff. My wife said, "You're sure? It's like a lot more expensive." And I said, "We will, one, it's a mix of points, some cash, of course, but the trade-off is worth it."
Yeah.
For traveling with kids, long haul, if it's once every year. And so I save points for that specifically. And then I think about like takeoff time, landing time, because if the takeoff time is a little later in the day, they can eat food and go to sleep, like things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The other advice somebody gave me on one of my friends when I had my first kid is, here's the good news. The people you are seeing on the plane, you will never see them again.
I was going to ask, when you said you're sitting in business class with 3 kids, what the looks you get are, and
well,
you're saying
you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
And so do not give a shit. And so that was actually really good advice that one of my friends gave me when I was just had my first kid. So yeah, I'm an older dad. And so one of the things that I'm very cognizant of is with 3 young kids. And as you know, in New York, it's not uncommon for older parents to have young kids. It's just New York.
Yeah.
Is the importance of staying fit and active. And you have to.
Yeah.
And so that I took a hold of my life just
Yeah.
from a fitness perspective from like 2019 onwards.
Yeah. It's
And
not
so
being
that's when-
selfish. It's you doing what you need to do for everyone. Yeah.
For everyone. And so, and you feel it's not just the physical part, it's the emotional, mental part as well. Sleep becomes important, things like that. All the stuff that sort of comes out of the manosphere, it turns out is also good for us dads as well.
Right on. Rafat, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
That's Rafat Ali, and this, for now, is Crafted. There's a new name and an even bigger focus coming for this podcast very soon, so stay tuned. Please subscribe to the show and go to crafted.fm to sign up for the newsletter.